The brain can store memories of what we have experienced, and this is something that we do not control, what we remember or what pops up from our memory in different situations. So for instance, you walk by a cave where a lion previously came out, and then you'll remember that the next time. But maybe you have also experienced a lot of horrible things in a war situations or something, and these memories can pop up all the time with all the bad feelings connected to them. It can give you post-traumatic stress syndrome, etc. So this is something that we do not control. But how does it work? Well, there's a famous hypothesis by neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, which is called the somatic marker hypothesis. And what he argues there is that every time we store a memory in the brain, it's also stored together with a feeling. And these feelings then helps us sort the memories. So important memories will be connected to strong feelings, and they will easily pop into our memory and be the first things we think about. So if you have experienced something dramatic like seeing somebody get shot on the street, then you'll probably remember that every time you go to that street. But this is also quite useful then, because there are so many possible things to think about in any situation, and possible choices to make. But if we have some experiences and some feelings that select for us a few relevant options, that's quite helpful. So Damasio, he had a patient where the feelings, there wasn't this connection between the area of the brain responsible for the feelings. So when Damasio asked this person, when should we meet next week? This person started reasoning, well, we could meet Thursday at 2, because that would fit with this and that, but we could also meet at 4, because then I could do that first, or we could meet Friday, because then I could... And Antonio Damasio was just sitting and listening, and after half an hour, when we were still talking about different possible alternatives, possible reasons for meeting then or that, Damasio said, well, we'll just meet Wednesday at 5. But it showed him then that we get this help from our feelings in sorting out what we think of as relevant alternatives for actions. So we'll get to that quite soon, but first it seems that we have different types of memory, different areas of the brain that stores different kinds of memories, because we see that people can lose one kind while having another. So for instance, you have the procedural memories, like if you learn and then remember how to play the guitar or ride a bicycle, etc. And that's one area of the brain, but it can be destroyed. Or you can have, maybe there was this person who could, if he saw a bicycle, he wouldn't know what it was, but he could sit on the bike and ride. So the procedural memory was there, but not the fact memory. The fact memory is where we store all sorts of facts that we learn, which is different from the autobiographical memory, where we store the different events that we have experienced. So again, you can lose one and have the other. So for instance, one person could see a picture of a mountain and say this must be Kilimanjaro in Africa, but he did not remember that he had been on top of that mountain. Or another person who saw a picture of a situation and said, well, this must be a wedding, but he didn't remember that it was his own wedding. He was on this picture. So these are then different kinds of memories, and they're relevant for choices, both in that we have, when we have learned facts, these are memories that can pop up in our mind as possible alternatives for actions. We know that, well, in this situation it's possible to do this or that, because we have learned about what is it that people do in situations like this. But we also have then these autobiographical memories about our previous experience and how did it feel when we do this or that. That also influence our choices, and which we'll talk about quite soon now, and starting in the next video, which is about the self.